Hello and welcome to Chat Sith Get Banged, Team Calamity Final Fantasy TCG podcast. I'm your host Tom Hall, and today I'm joined once again by Mitch Orlando.
Hello.
And Rich Mason.
Hello.
Hello. So yeah, it's been a long time since we've done a podcast. We reckon it's about 3 sets that we haven't done anything. Various reasons, won't go into them. But we're back and we're kicking it off once again with a legend review. So we'll go through all the new legends from the new Opus Hidden Hope, Opus 22. And as always, we'll be doing our sort of way of reviewing them, where rather than just giving everything an even rating, we rank them from S tier to C tier. And to make things more interesting, you can only have 4 in each rank and then 2 S rank. So 2 S rank for the best, and then the rest are 4. So 4 A's, 4 B's, 4 C's, etc. So if you want to play along as you listen to it, feel free. Otherwise, just listen to us chat shit about these cards. Big set, I guess. Been a weird time, isn't it, for Final Fantasy recently? I suppose things got back on track with the World Championships kicking off again last year. But this set could be different. We've got the new limit break. We'll talk about that when we get to it. Should we just get cracking?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll start off. So I'll follow however the browser sets them out. So it starts with fire. But they do skip around a bit this time because obviously some of them are limit breaks and they're all at the end. Some elements don't have limit break legends. Again, we'll get into that when we get to it. So first up is Selphie, which is the Final Fantasy VIII legend. So she's a 4 CP fire forward, seed candidate. When Selphie enters the field, you may search for 1 category 8 forward and add it to your hand. And she has a 0 cost ability, which is choose 1 category 8 forward other than Selphie. Until the end of the turn, it gains 1000 power, haste, and brave. You can only use this ability during your turn and only once per turn. Who would like to kick us off?
Let the guests go first.
Go on then,
Oh
Rich.
god. Okay, I'll give my opinion so that you can shit on it. I'll put Selphie in the C tier, purely because I don't think that Fire has enough Final Fantasy VIII for her to really be utilized properly. Like it's got Zell, it's got like Heros and Ward and stuff like that, but it doesn't really have many major cards that you'd want to play unless you want to play the old legend School Fire. But I don't know. It seems like a bit of a vanilla card. If she was a different element, if she was in Ice or if she was in Lightning, I'd feel completely different about her. But I don't know what it is. The 0 cost ability is nice anytime that you can give a forward haste and for no investment. That's quite strong. But I don't know. She didn't really do anything for me. So she ended up in my C tier.
So first, starting off with C tier. Mitch, did you go any higher?
Yeah, I went A tier.
You went A tier. That's interesting because I have also gone A tier. But as I'm thinking about it, I'm thinking, is it a B tier? Go on, tell us why it's A tier then.
I do agree with Rich in that fire is probably the worst element for it to be in. I think if it was in Ice or Lightning, it'd probably even be S tier. But this card just sets up the Squall hero, which then plays a forward. You do that turn 1, play the Squall, play a 3 forward. You've got 3 forwards turn 1, haste, brave, and you just clapping cheeks if your opponent can't deal with it. And then you've got the Quistis to follow up with. Like you could even search the Quistis if you've got the Squall. You've got Renoa, the 4-drop legend, or pretty much any of the Renoas. Forwards are decent just to follow up with. I think it's going to be one of those decks that unfortunately is very aggro and just if burst down your opponent, and if they can't answer it, you win within a couple of turns.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a big deck. That's why I went for A. But at the same time, I feel like part of me was thinking it could be a B just because of the way they've set Final Fantasy VIII up, really. We've got lots of similar named cards that all do something good. So you've got to choose which one you want to use. Obviously, this clearly leans towards the hero, which is playing stuff out every turn. Rich, you mentioned you wished it was in Lightning or Ice. Oh, go on, Mitch.
Sorry, yeah. You could also just run some fire. It doesn't have. It could be a predominantly Ice Lightning deck and then just some fire for Selphie. Like you
Yeah,
could
exactly.
run like
Yeah,
you Stola, which is fire lightning. I mean, you could ditch the fire just to play the selfie.
yeah. So like you were saying, Rich, if it was ice or lightning, you'd be more keen. Obviously, they do have Sid Kramer, which allows you to tap for any color of category 8 cards you're
That's
playing.
true.
I've
Yeah.
always said, we said it a few times on our like chats and stuff that until you can consistently search Sid Kramer, fire on FF8 decks could be slightly held back. But that's if you're going to triple color. I think you could easily just fire ice this, or predominantly ice with a bit of fire. I still think it's going to be good. So yeah, we'll see how it
And
goes. I think it'll be a big day. I think a lot of people will play it. We'll see how it goes. There might be some choices about you could do some interesting spins by picking different ones because there's lots of good squalls. There's lots of good Renoas. So yeah,
I'll
interesting to
say
see how
when
it
if
goes.
they, I think it's got better potential for the future because if we get a decent Zell or we get a decent like Irvine fire forward, it just kind of needs that extra kind of companion within fire to make it a bit better. But at the
Yeah, Zell
moment,
is
all the
definitely a
Zells are
lacking one,
terrible.
isn't it?
I
Yeah,
mean,
Zell has been done bad. I was expecting to see a Legend Zell in this as the stuff was getting revealed, but didn't get a Zell at all, I don't think, in the whole
I
set. So
mean,
a bit
you
strange.
could you could just play school down, and then this plays it plays selfie for free,
Yeah.
and then you could go ice lightning from that, and then obviously when this comes in for free, it searches the Quistis for next turn. If they opponent goes 2 backups or 3 backups, they've lost because you just freeze all the backups.
Anytime they give a category like haste, this is the theme they're going for. Give everything haste. It's always going to be strong, isn't it? So
Yeah.
yeah, cool. All right, let's move on from selfie. So the next one is Kurasame, so the Ice Legend. A lot of text here. Don't know if it's worth reading it out. So he's 7 CP, 9k. Forward, Vegito Kazet, type 0. When Kurasame enters the field, select one of the 2 following actions. Choose up to the same number of characters as the ice backups you control, dull them and freeze them. Or your opponent discards 1 card for each ice backup you control. He has a Blizzaga 1S special, which is choose 1 forward, deal it 9,000 damage. Mitch, where have you gone for this?
I've gone B tier. I think it reads strong, but Mono Ice doesn't tend to want to go control. So if it's for the most part, Mono Ice wants to go aggro. So at most, you're going to have 3 backups. If you have the 5, then you've gone a weird, like you've stalled out a little bit, and then maybe this is a payoff. But I don't really see it. Like you can play it on 3 backups, ditch 2, but then you're also keeping a card in hand, and Ice tends to want like Unalesca, which means that they've got to discard a card at their turn, and I don't know, I think it just seems really weird the way that it's all stacked up. It's nice that it can, as I said, can discard 3 when it enters, but I don't know. I'm just not really feeling it personally.
Well, I could discard 5 if you wanted to go that way.
Yeah, but as I said, then
You don't want to go to 5. Yeah, that's why
well,
personally, I put this as C for that reason because it's
yeah,
mono ice folk. It's not just backups. It's mono ice backups.
yeah.
Well, not
I
mono,
could
yeah,
see
ice
this in
backups.
maybe. I could see this maybe in Earth Ice, where like Shantoto counts as ice as well, and then you're discarding 3, which is fine. I would say discarding 3 is fine, or dulling and freezing 3 is fine. Now I'd see that more on that side than Mono Ice. I don't think Mono Ice could survive letting itself get to 5 backups.
Particularly the route they've gone with mono ice is very aggressive
Yeah,
discard. So you've got Rufus, and we saw it at the World Championships. It was slap a couple of forwards, make them discard their cards, and then you're pretty
yeah,
much done. So to then try and slot this in, it's not going to fit. So you then got to reinvent ice, and it's just not going to be as good as that.
no,
So it kind
exactly.
of sort of loses its place. Did you have anything else to add on this, Rich?
No, I went for a B tier as well, the same as Mitch. And really my only justification for it was the feeling that you used to get back in the day when your opponent slapped down the 7-drop death and you had to discard 2 cards and it was just the worst feeling in the world. This is like the power creep version of that because typically they would deal 3 backups, discard 2, drop the Seth, and
I
it'd
mean,
always feel a little bit rough. Now this is, tap 3, discard 2. Oh, now you're discarding 3 cards. And it's like, oh, wow. But I don't know. A lot of decks nowadays don't seem to run like reactive cards. They don't seem to interact much on your opponent's turn. They just tend to slap down like a Ruchadine and and a what's it called, a Rufus, or they slap down a wall. Like they just seem to spunk their cards early. So I don't ever really see your opponent having much of a hand when you want to slap this down in an effective manner.
yeah. I mean, against Rufus and Rugdine and all that sort of stuff, and you're not going to get any backups out, really.
Yeah.
Like, best case, you're going to get 2. And then, okay, you've discarded 2 cards, but you've taken 5 damage. Like, congratulations.
Nowadays, hoping your opponent has 3 cards in hand is like the dream.
Yeah.
Normally they've got no cards in hand and 4 forwards while you're playing your turn 2 out or something. So
Yeah, we'll move on
I
then.
went B.
Yeah.
B, but
You went B.
I mean-
well, you sort of shit talked it the whole time about how crap it is, and then you both given it B.
Well, I mean,
Doesn't
there are
bode
worse
well for
cards.
some others, yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, having talked about that now, I'm kind of regretting my selfie grade. I wish I swapped them over now.
Yeah, you rated selfie
Whoops.
worse than this. Okay, bad start.
Yeah.
It's all right. We're rusty. It's fine. Right, we'll move on.
So,
Sephiroth.
someone's got to bring the hot take.
Sephiroth, I'm going to change the picture to the Super Sig. This is the Super Sig for the set. This is going to be the most expensive signature card, isn't it? That we've seen so far. I think I've seen one today actually advertised for like, was it like $1,300 or something? So this is Sephiroth, free CP, Ice Legend, Soldier forward. When he enters the field, your opponent discards 1 card, and he has an ability which is 1 ice and 2 anything. Remove Sephiroth in your hand from the game, choose 1 Dole forward, break it. Until the end of the turn, you can cast Sephiroth removed by this ability's cost. You can only use this ability if Sephiroth is in your hand. I think it's my turn, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just going to go straight in. This is S tier. I don't think either of you can argue against that.
I'm not going to.
Oh, good.
Whoops.
There was a panic thing. Yeah, I mean, this is just ridiculous, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, as I said, it actually, Breach, what have you gone?
I went A tier,
Oh, okay.
but
That's all right.
because my 2 S tiers, I couldn't bring myself to drop either one of those. So
It's going to be like Knights, isn't it? Yeah, I forgot Knights got
Yeah.
Legend. Yeah, that's fair enough. We'll get to that. Spoiler.
But
no, this Sephiroth's
this-
nuts. It's
yeah,
basically
it's
back attack,
essentially-
isn't it?
Yeah, it's essentially a summon, which is a summon that becomes a forward to me. It's like at any point you just break a Dole forward. Your opponent is always going to be scared to attack because of Sephiroth. And to me, if you're running ice, you run 3 of this card. It's that simple.
And you can find ways to tap for 1 ICP to run this anyway, I think.
Oh yeah,
If
I
you
think
want to
that is-
toolbox it. Yeah, it's insane. I mean, it's so obvious. So obviously good.
Yeah.
And there's a
I
lot
can't
of
believe you're
problems.
so passionate about it.
Well, it's just like, but like as well, if you think like some like problem forwards, so like Yuffie, you can crack her before her like protection kicks in because
Yeah.
it's on the stack. If you've got like Neo X Def, like the dark Neo X Def, he's not on the field, so you can break it, and you wouldn't have to choose. You know, when you have to choose something in response to break, BFA stuff like that, Praskazeon. You know, Sephiroth is not there to be hit because you can cast him later on, in the end of your turn. So it's just mad.
And the fact is, like, you break the forward on your opponent's turn, and then your turn, you can choose to cast it because it's at the end of your turn, so it's not your opponent's turn.
Yeah.
So it rolls round. So then you've got basically a free card you've used the card, but it's still there to use as well.
Yeah,
I said,
but you can cast it in their turn as well, right?
No, you can't cast it on their turn, but you can
Until
cast
the
it
end
on
of
your turn.
turn.
Your following turn.
Yeah, you can't cast a forward on.
Okay.
It hasn't got back attack. If it had back attack, then you could do, but it doesn't. So it's
you can remove it, and then at the end of your next turn, basically, you can cast it.
Yeah.
Or until any point.
I didn't realize you were both so impassioned by how strong this card was. Like, it's
Well,
good.
it is
Don't
really
get me
good.
wrong,
No,
but
but look at the cost of it as well. It's still 3 CP even to do the like special
yeah, we
quick
we were
attacky thing.
joking the other day at the shop that Opus One Sarah, the start one is still decently playable, where it's just 3-drop 6k. Your opponent discards a card when she enters. Like, that's still an acceptable card to run. So even if you take the bottom half of the effect off, it's just
Yes,
Sephiroth enters
Still
field,
good.
your
and that's
opponent
the thing.
discard one card.
It
That's
is
acceptable.
yeah. As I said, this card is mad, especially with the way that ice capitalizes off of discard.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, my brain when I first read this card went to Scylla, the Opus 10 hero. So when Scylla enters the field, choose one down forward. Opponent controls, break it. Your opponent discards one card from his or her hand. That was a 7-drop 7k. My brain went there, and it's like, well, it's better value than that. It's definitely better than that. But no one saw Scylla and thought, oh, that's a great card, you know. And this is like not a million miles from that. Like, I know you can do it
Oh,
on
it
your opponent's
is.
turn, and I know you've got the option. Like, the choose one dial forward break it just feels a little bit like Zalira, which is like a 1-drop ice summon, and I know it's got conditions on costs and stuff like that, but I don't know.
I mean,
I don't.
ice cards often have those conditions. I think some will come up later on where it's similar. But this is, everyone is going to have to dull their forward at some point because they've got to attack, and you can kill it then. I think that's what makes it so good because you're not like waiting out to get them dull. You just slap it when they attack, and it's from your hand. Yeah, it's just I think
I don't know,
everyone will agree.
all I say is it reminded me of a couple of cards that are in no way viewed as particularly strong, and that's how I talked myself down into that A tier.
I mean, I don't know how much more we want to talk about this because I think it's quite obvious, yes, but you're wrong, Rich. But yeah, we'll move on.
Your opinion is wrong.
We'll move on. We'll move on. Right, Dorgan. Rich, you can have Dorgan. I think it's back to you. Right, Dorgan is Wind, 4 CP, Dawn Warrior, Category 5, forward 8k. When Dorgan enters the field, select one of the 3 following actions. If you cast 3 or more cards this turn, select up to 2 of the 3 following actions instead. So choose one forward of cost 5 or more, remove it from the game. Choose one monster, remove it from the game. Choose 2 cards from either player's break zone and remove them from the game and draw a card. Where you at,
I
Rich?
went A tier. I'm actually going to start talking about the negatives first.
Okay.
So, if the job is kind of not relevant, being a Dawn Warrior, the category is kind of not relevant, being Cat 5, and Cat 5 doesn't have a defined searcher, does it? Now that Sildra is dead in the water. So those two things don't work in its favor. But the thing that is good is that even if you just get the one effect, like, it's not the worst thing in the world. Like, 4-drop 8k, remove 2 cards from your opponent's break zone and draw a card. Doesn't feel too bad. And then if you get one of the extra, so either the remove from game, it's good that it's not break, it's good that it's not dealing damage, it's just straight up remove from game because there's less counters for that. But I actually think that the removing a monster could be a really good one as well. If you've ever been under the thumb of like a Tross or a Biblos or an Atmos or something like that, just having a straight slap this card down, get rid of it. So I like it. There's some negatives, but I think it's worthy of A tier.
I went B, but it's mainly because you have to get the free cast for me to make it worthwhile, and one of them draws a card, so I think that makes it worth it, which puts it in B. But otherwise, I don't know. I mean, the best redeeming feature for it is that it's not focused on wind, even though it's talking about casting lots of cards, which is the wind thing. This isn't necessarily a wind card, like a mono wind card. I mean, because obviously that does everything better. I mean, it's all good stuff. But yeah, I'm not sure if this is going to be very impactful. What do you think, Mitch?
I put it in C tier.
Yeah, I thought you might.
Oh wow!
I knew you were
Wow.
going there.
So I think this card is like trash.
Bang average. Oh, trash. Okay.
Like, not okay. It's not trash, but in comparison to what wind can do, why would you run this? Like, you pay 3 Sorry, you have to cast 3. This can be the third cast, but you have to pay 4 CP for it. So, yes, Wind can activate, but Atmos only triggers on your second cast, so you'll activate 2. So you have to basically have 4 CP up, otherwise you're ditching from hand to play this. You've got cast 3. You've got all these odd random effects. Like if your opponent's only got 4 cost forwards and no monsters, why even bother the casting? You're just going to remove 2 and just play it early, and then okay, well I've removed 2 from their break zone and drawn 1, but I've got other cards that are much better than this. Like in my deck, it's more what it competes with, and it doesn't even compare to most of the cards that Wind can do. Like Ice Wind is predominantly Wind because of how good some Wind cards are. This is not going to overtake any of them, in my opinion. Maybe there's a new deck that could appear, like I don't know, Fire Wind or Earth Wind or something like that only cares about like small cast amounts. Maybe it'll be good there, but in the current decks that we have, this isn't going to see play.
That's one of the only things that makes me think it could be okay, is because normally these type of cards, it specifies Wind if you cast 3 Wind cards, but this doesn't.
Yeah.
So maybe it fits in. But then yeah, it's just because he's 4 CP and he's the third cast. It's going to be quite expensive probably without a lot of the Wind,
Yeah.
like generation.
I mean,
to get
I
cost.
do get that the remove a monster is nice, but you can also tech in Alexander, which is, if I remember correctly, is free if you played a Wind forward, break a monster, draw a card. I'd rather draw the card than just remove it.
Yeah,
Sorry,
fair.
remove the I'd rather break the monster and draw a card than remove the monster.
Unless they're gonna, maybe next set there's gonna be like some Dawn Warrior, but then again, because it's restricted to cast, even if you're looking at stuff that plays things for free, it's not going to help this. So maybe, yeah, because
Yeah.
there was no real support for this in the set. Like when you see something,
No.
Dawn Warrior is quite a big job name in the game, even though it hasn't really had too much support, but it's like a defined like archetype that exists, and it just didn't really get anything. So
Yeah.
I think it's a bit of a nothingy. I did say beta, didn't I? But it's a bit of a nothingy legend. Now we'll move on. We're rattling through these, which is good. Right, Gilgamesh. This must be you, Mitch. So Gilgamesh, 3 CP, Earth Legend, 7k, Praetorian, Category 5. If you control 5 or more backups, Gilgamesh gains 2000 power and cannot be broken by opposing summons or abilities that don't deal damage. When Gilgamesh enters the field or attacks, you may pay 2 Earth and 1 anything. When you do so, choose 1 forward or monster, break it. Mitch.
Yeah. So I've wrestled with this. It's either going to be an S or an A. I think I'm going to put in A tier, but I probably will regret that later on. But this card is worrying for me because I like it. I like, especially with Enkidu, like your Earth Wind is very nice. It's all lovely. Like you play this, Enkidu pays 2, you activate, you have a lovely game against your opponent. But that's not where it's going to go. It's going to go in wall, and your opponent is literally going to play the 6-drop searcher. Is it? They're going to search wall and the 4-color one. They're going to play the 7-drop wall. They're going to reveal this, and then next turn they're going to attack, ditch the 4-color one for Earth, and tap the water back up, and break whatever you play, monster or forward. And that's literally going to be how it happens the whole time. And that's not even. They might even run Enkidu in the deck as well. So I think that's where this card is going to go primarily, and I
Enters the
think
field
it's
or attacks. They can do it both.
yeah.
They do it
So
off the flip and then off the next turn.
yeah, so it worries me, this card.
Yeah, no, I meant
Yeah, I
so.
think
I did put it in A, but I'm trying to think of things outside of WoW. I think it's good
yeah,
on its own, but yeah, WoW is the problem.
yeah.
We can't talk about this every time we reveal a 3 CP
No,
forward, but I mean, obviously Sephiroth, the WoW plays a lot of ice because you've got the Gilgamesh, which is like the
yeah,
main thing.
but
So
then
you could flip that if you wanted to, but like every time they now release a free CP forward, you have to assess if it's problematic for WoW. This one
The only,
slots really
but
nicely.
the ice won't matter too much because the forward color wall can pay for this. It can't like pay for
Yeah, that's
Sephiroth
true.
in hand. It's that worries me. It's
And
because
also
there
this
is
is
warrior lights
it's a bit of a
that are
gap for the
searchable.
WoW deck as well, where again we saw it in the World Championships where you had like mirror matches where they're like stalled because they couldn't break. Is it Yazuki and stuff like that? And now you've given it straight break off the flip as well. So just filling in more the slight weaknesses maybe the deck had, which are very slight, is filling those gaps.
Yeah, exactly. So like as I said, there's so many ways that this deck can go now, and it also, if I remember correctly, it didn't have any monster removal. It now does. This breaks at monsters all forwards. Doesn't care of the cost. As I said, I think it's a big worry personally.
And also it's Gilgamesh, but it's not a name clash either because the other Gilgamesh has is it 11
FFBE.
or FFB? Yeah, it's got the bracketed name, so there's no issue.
Yep.
You're not sacrificing a big part of the deck to get this in because you can play both.
Yep.
Rich, did you have anything to add on this? Or
I went A tier as well, but again, like you, I didn't particularly want to have Wall in mind when I was assessing the card. But I think just within its own right, it is a strong card. It's nice. I like the time with Enkidu because Enkidu untapped the backup. So if you get, I think this is an A tier, but it becomes an S tier when you're at 5 backups because it has that intrinsic protection, and then the resource management works out a little bit better that you pay 3 for the Gilgamesh, 2 to bring the Enkidu in from break zone, untap 3 backups to then pay for the cost to break a forward or monster. So it becomes a very efficient when you're on 5 backups and you get the protection. So then that's it at its strongest, but it's probably still good before then. It's a bit fragile in it though, like 3 drop 7k, and you kind of have to have other stuff to protect it until you get to 5 backups. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Outside of wall, a 7k isn't going to cause anyone any problems, you know?
But it still breaks a forward on attack, so
Yeah, this all comes down to the fact that it does something on entry as well. Like
yeah.
just playing a 6 drop forward that kills a forward or a monster, like, might not be the worst thing in the world.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah,
I
I
did
think it's
like
good.
it when it first came out to Robo Akbel,
Yeah,
but I think this is just better. Like I know Robo gets you backups back, but this continuously breaks stuff.
yeah.
Yeah, it's a it's a step up from the Earth side because we've seen with Galoof, it's like really good, but you got to get him to attack first,
Yeah,
which is a
I would also say,
massive limiter on a lot of these cards. But this coming in doing both is big win.
yeah, I'd also say that I think Enkidu, because if I remember correctly, Enkidu doesn't need any wind to pay to bring it in. So you could actually play this in like an Earth Ice or something like that. Play that Enkidu from the break zone, just pay to activate, and you still get the thing. The
Entry.
yeah,
It's
the
yeah, 2
entry.
colorless. Yeah.
Yeah. So yes, obviously Earthwind is like a nice place for Enkidu and this, but it's not limited to it. So you could even run it alongside Robo Akbo in, say, like Ice Earth or something like that.
And Isurf
My
gets to
God.
5 backups pretty consistently,
And
quite easily as well
yeah,
with Rydia and Unalesca, etc. So yeah, and it's another one where they haven't limited it to. Again, traditionally this would be if you control 5 or more Earth backups or something like that. So that's pretty cool as well.
Did we all just agree on a card? Did we all have it as an A
It's a
tier?
AAA, yeah, AAA
Wow.
yeah,
title. Well done. It's probably a first,
yeah.
probably.
As I said,
And
I
then you
did.
watch this will be C tier. No one will ever play it.
Yeah.
Cool. We'll move on then. So we'll move to Nact. Is it Nacht? Nact? Don't know. Richie probably know.
I don't.
We'll go Nact.
Okay,
Right,
no.
he's a big boy. 9 CP, Earth Legend, 9,000 power forward, Warrior of Darkness. FFL, when Nuct enters the field, you may search for up to 3 Job Warrior of Darkness with different names and add them to your hand. At the beginning of the attack phase, during each of your turns, you may play 1 Warrior of Darkness of cost 5 or less from your hand onto the field. He also has a Final Thrust special, which is special and Earth Lightning. Choose one forward, break it. It's me, is it? Or is it you, Rich? I think it's me.
Yes, you.
I have gone in my notes A/B, which means I was undecided because I probably had to count out which other A's I had. 1, 2, 3. I'll go B. Oh shit, everything else is B. Okay, I'm gonna go B. Committing. I think this will be an interesting deck, Warriors of Darkness, just because we've got a few more. Mitch, I know you'll. I'll leave you to talk probably more on this because I know you're quite excited about Warriors of Darkness. I'm not sure. I'm on the fence. I think this is a big play. I think probably what makes this more viable for me is the other Nact. I think we were talking about this yesterday, Mitch. The 5 CP Nact, that when he dies, you can play any Warrior of Darkness onto the field. So rather than paying 9, you could sacrifice the other Nact to play into this. I think that could be good. I think it's generally interesting, and I'm always interested in cards that bring something new, a new deck type. It's not just a generically hasty deck as well, I don't think. I think it works more on like Dole. You've got a few decisions to make about which Albas and which Dianas you're going to pick, which I think is nice. So yeah, I'll go with B. We'll see where it goes. Mitch, you want to tell me how much you love this?
I agree with you. I think B is a fair assessment for this. I think me and Rich were discussing it like earlier, and I think it's more how many of this do you want to run. I think I'll probably go like try 2 to start with, because as I said, you play Nuct down the 5 CP one, it dies. You play this for free. You're getting 3 cards off of it, which is real nice. I also think a lot of people, including myself to start with, was like, oh, which Alba do you want to run, which Diana? And I'm thinking now that you run not all of them, but you run all of them, but at different numbers, and that's where you've got to work it out. Like, you run multiple Nuts, you run multiple Dianas, you run multiple Albas, and just keep the constant stream of Warriors of Darkness coming in. I think that's where the strength of the deck will lie. But yeah, this Legend specifically, I think it's only like B tier, because I don't even think it's better than the 5-drop.
Rich, any more? You used to run Warriors of Darkness when it
I
first
did
came
used
out.
to run. Yeah, I did used to run Warriors of Darkness, and that's why I was utterly disappointed with this card. I put it in C tier, and if we had a D tier, it would
Oh
be
no.
there as well.
Okay.
It'd be there. I think it's a trap. I think it is the biggest trap set. I think it's a waste of a Legend slot.
Oof.
I think ideally you would just run 1 of this, and if you didn't see it early, you just discard it. I don't see a world in which you would run 3, just in the basis that the later in the game you go, the less chance that you're actually going to play it. If you say you discard an Alba early, you draw another Alba, and then you have the next. Realistically, you can only play the Nact once. Because if you're not searching 3 forwards off of it, then it's not a good card. It's not a value play. The second effect is nice, but I just think the Opus 12 Nact is better in every single way. I agree with what Mitch was saying, like not running things as like a strict 3 of. So I would split Albas. I'd maybe run the old Diana as a 3. I don't really think the new Diana's all that much to shout about. But I just think if you set up a nice cycle with Diana and Opus 12 Nact, they can recycle each other and stuff. I think this is a trap. I really do.
I'll just add as well, if you look at the card art, it's a really weird choice why this isn't a full art.
I was thinking that when I was looking through them.
I've just literally noticed just now, like, you've got the 3 other Warriors of Darkness there. One of them's completely covered by text. The other one's just poking above, and then the other one, half her face is covered out by his name. So why this wasn't a full out is really a strange
The,
decision.
the full arts tend to be original artworks now, so they'll commission art from particular art designers, and they tend to be the full arts. Whereas this, I think, might just be
Maybe,
in-game
yeah.
art or promo art, so they tend not to use those, which is why you've got Gilgamesh, Cypher, the Organ. They're all original artwork by like
Yeah, I
commissioned
suppose they did
artists.
make that change, didn't they? Is every full art like that though? There are some dodgy ones, aren't there? Or is it just
Selfie is
selfies
Seth
full art?
is
Yeah,
new
I think you're
artwork.
right. Yeah, maybe that's why. Yeah, it's just
The only,
it's a bad placement. There must be others that aren't original though. I
I
have
don't
to
think there
check it
is
out.
like
Maybe you're
now,
right.
but one thing I do strikes me as weird. It's nothing about like the actual playing of the card, but there's no artist credit on it. Like I think even like the
Oh yeah.
Ultimisa, which is next, you've got like some credit of like who designed it and stuff like that, and there's nothing on this one.
Yeah, maybe someone will know. Probably some kind of like rights issues or something.
Yeah, maybe.
It was an intern, and they didn't want to give him a promotion, so they just
Slapped a 9 cost
ignored
on
their
it. Yeah,
contribution.
called called all the boxes over everyone's faces. Cool. Right, we'll move on. As you said, Mitch, Ultimisia is next. I think it's Rich's turn. So this is
Yep.
Ultimisia, Lightning Legend, another forward, 9k, 5 CP, Dissidia, and Category 8. She's a job witch. So all cards in your break zone cannot be removed from the game by your opponent's summons or abilities. When Ultimisia enters the field, choose one forward. If there are 15 or more cards in your break zone, you gain control of it. And then a special Maelstrom, she's 1S, and it's choose one forward. It loses 10,000 power until the end of the turn. Where have you gone, Rich?
I have gone A tier.
Good man.
It's a bit of a weird card to assess because you've got to do a bit of groundwork that early on to get yourself to 15 more cards in your break zone, which is kind of annoying because the other FF8 cards this set are actually pretty good at not being in your break zone. Like if they're put from your deck to your break zone, you play them on the field instead. I think Cypher also gets a category 8 from your break zone and puts it back in your hand. So the longer the game goes on, the more chance you are going to be to play Ultimisia. But the effect is really nice. It's just to absolutely nab one of your opponent's forwards. And I think is this one of like the least conditions we've ever had placed on gaining control? It's not, oh, choose one forward of cost 2 or less, or stuff like that.
Yeah,
It's just pick a forward and it's yours.
and
Yeah,
permanently
and
as
it
well.
never stops. So even if
Yeah,
Ultimisia dies, you keep it. And if they take the even if they remove your cards from the break zone, it's done, isn't it? You've still got it.
Yeah,
yeah.
It's, well, yeah, it's when she
I,
enters the field, so it's done. So it's, yeah, you just nab it forever. It's cool.
I mean, one thing that I will just say, minor detour, minor Ronto rage here. Why on earth they put Ultimisia and they picked the Idea artwork, and then in
Yeah,
the
I mean,
set,
there's a few
she's
things
the
there.
number directly next to Idea as well, the new original artwork Idea that's just been done. So it throws me off. I thought we had a new Idea legend, but
Yeah, I agree. There's a few bits that flavor-wise that I don't quite like with it, and with the witch side and how they've done it. Yeah, it's slightly annoying with stuff because this could have maybe been the idea and stuff. I don't know. But yeah, as a card, it's strong. I went A as well. Bitch, did you go A as well?
yeah. I went A.
Yeah.
I will say though, I think actually if the Idea was the legend, I'd probably rate that higher than this. I think the idea is better than this, but this card is unique in what it does, and you can play this, throw it under the bus, just play another, and if your opponent can't deal with your break zone, like this card is gonna like cause havoc. It's like I think the S the special is a trap. I would rather have this die and then just play another. To be completely honest, I think this is so strong. Just to take your opponent's forwards, like their best forward. Like I don't tend to like looking at costs or something and stuff like that. But even if like your opponent just will use Nuct as the an example, you pay 5 CP for this plus the 2, so it's like you're paying 7 CP. Play this down. You steal your opponent's knocked. You've taken 11 CP off of them. You've not lost anything. You've played a 7 CP cost and gained, maths on stream, 18 CP's worth, pretty much. And I think like those sort of swings are backbreaking for decks, especially if it's like my opponent is playing lightning, like FF13, like aggro. Okay, well I'm going to steal their lightning. Now they're screwed, sort of thing. Their whole like combo, their whole game plan is ruined. I think that's something that's not going to be ever looked on, because you can't really know what happens to your opponent. But it's a weird one to evaluate. But when it comes down and this effect works, it is going to be an absolute like monster of a card.
I will say as well, I'm pretty sure when Renoa gets taken over, it's when she's still a Dia as well, which is another reason why the game control thing was a bit wonky.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
I mean, no one's played FF8 anyway, so it doesn't really
matter. Fine, whatever. So, yeah, a few bits of that. But yeah, I think lightning's big. I quite like the witch side from the last set with like Griever and that side of things. So this is more Griever support if you want to go down that route. And then it's got the support this set, which we're talking about with the Rajins and Fujins and Ciphers and stuff with this like self-mill thing. I think lightning is going to be in a good place as well going forward. Particularly around the limit break, which we'll get to later on. So I think lightning's in a good spot. So yeah, I can see this getting played a bit. I've always thought it's a shame because they've themed these very much. This is like the Balam versus Galbadia. God, that could always have been a really cool like dual starter deck. I thought. I guess FF8's not got quite the same draw as it for like that sort of entry starter pack. But I always thought that would have been a good like double deck starter deck. Balam versus Galbadia, but
it's a good job we don't work in Square Enix's marketing department, otherwise they'd have shoved you out
blow
window
all the
right
budget
now.
on that and then wouldn't sell anything.
They did an FF4 one, didn't they? So I imagine they could do an FF8 one at some point. But I can't imagine it's on the top of their list.
I think there's no chance for that, is there? But
they'll probably do an FF6 one before they do FF8.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, no, it's cool. I like it. A lot of FF8 this set, which people talked about this for a long time, that there wasn't enough support. So we've now got lots of like big, good cards. We still don't have the diversity of character, but this is as good as it's probably going to get, and it's pretty good. So
yeah,
I think we can all sort of stop moaning about FF8 now. Move on. Well, there was a lot. Not we all. There were people. It's always been one of those ones that FF8 never really got enough stuff. So whether this is how far ahead they plan, and this was a reaction to that time, I don't know. Or if it was just the natural progression. But it's here now. And
I'm pretty sure he did a Ronso rage about it 4 years ago.
I feel like many times it's come up. It's come up a lot. Speaking of which, another FF8 legend, because Cypher's next. I think it's his Rich. I think we're on to you.
No, I was on Artemisia.
Oh, you were on Artemisia. Is it back to me?
Should be Mitch.
Oh, it'd be Mitch. Yeah. Oh, that's good because I know you like this. So this is Cypher 3 CP, Lightning, 7k forward, Seed Candidate. When Cypher enters the field, you may put the top 2 cards of your deck into the break zone. When you do so, choose one category 8 forward other than card name Cypher in your break zone. Add it to your hand. When Cypher attacks, choose one forward opponent controls. If there are 10 or more cards in your break zone, break it.
Yeah, this is S tier. Probably the best. I think this card is sensational. And I will preface it by saying, when paired with, is it Raijin? Yeah, that's the one that gives haste. Yeah. Pair it, Fujin, I don't give a shit, but pair it with Raijin, it is amazing. When it enters the field, you put 2 in. If one of them is Raijin, you can change the target because it's a separate auto. But if you've got the Raijin in your break zone, it comes in, mill 2, give this haste, swing, break something. So you've literally paid 1 CP for and a haste to break something for essentially to like. I said I think this is mad. This card. As I said, I can't. There's not too much about. It's not like too exciting, but it's like it works with the archetype. It works, and it's just really effective. I think this is going to be like, if this deck takes off, this will be like one of the best cards in it.
It's a really good art as well. The full art is really nice.
Yeah, I
It's
love it.
cool. Really nice art. Rich, did you where did you go on this?
I went S tier as well.
S tier.
I went S tier as well.
Come
I-
scrambling.
That's all right.
How do you
I've
guys
done an
feel?
S already. I've saved my S for something else.
Right. How do you guys feel about the flexibility with this, with running it with older versions? So abandoning the kind of new self-mill cards and running it with some of the older ones. So you've got the Opus 18 Fusion and Rajin that at 3 damage will make it untargetable by summons or abilities to give it a little bit more protection,
I mean,
or running it
I think
running it
because of the
back.
because of the mill side and the way they come in, particularly with the ultimate and stuff, I think you probably want to go with the new ones.
The
I-
only
I
thing
don't
is
know. I haven't looked
I think
into
there's
it as much
I
as
think
that,
there's a
but
Rajin backup that gives.
there is a
Gives
Rising
it
backup
haste.
that gives Cypher haste, yeah.
Yeah. So
But
that was the other option, was running that Rajin. All right, run the new Fusion, but run the backup Rajin, so that when you do slap this down, he can attack straight away.
Yeah.
And it's not being kind of gate kept by a 2-drop 5k forward.
But it won't.
I don't know.
It won't be 5k because if you're milling 10 and for this to break something, Rajin gives them power boosts as well.
Right. But
But
I looked at the older versions of the card, because every time I see a 3-drop 7k, it just makes me a little bit nervous.
yeah,
Although some of it's really good. It's the fact that you get an entry effect as well. So getting something immediately when you play the Cypher, and adding a Cat 8 forward back to your hand, like that's good within its
You get
own
two
right.
effects, don't you? Because you get the mill which boosts the ultimeter side. You possibly play stuff in and then you get one back. So there's
Yeah,
enough on
I said
the
that
first bit, yeah.
it's decent enough, yeah, which is why I went S tier, because the second bit is kind of like a just very, very strong bonus.
yeah,
Yeah, I went A, but it's because I saved my S's for later. I've just looked at my grid and so we've gone ASS, which is actually ass. So maybe he's not that good. But no, it's cool.
no.
Do you play this? Do you play
I'll
this with?
take your full arts then, Tom.
No, I love the full art. I want this definitely. Do you play this with Selfie and Squall as something to like
I
slap
mean,
in? Because your Squall plays this for free, doesn't he?
he does, and if let me have a quick look at the school because I think
And he can scoop your other stuff back.
school
So,
has no. Oh no, it's 4 or less. Okay,
yeah, but I
but
mean,
so,
he
so then
fits.
it
There's
so
no
then it,
restriction other than the cost, which is fine. Which he's in cost.
yeah, no, but what I'm thinking is the rest of the deck isn't like a Dia, Ultimecia, and all that sort of stuff. So I don't know if that
No, I
is
don't
the.
think that would go in. It would be
Oh, you
be
just
like
want this just on its own?
or you could mix in a. Yeah, I don't know. You could mix them up a bit, probably outside of the Ultimecia side, maybe. I don't know. Again, that's the problem with the 8 side. If you mix up, because Sid Kramer becomes quite key
Mm.
until you can really guarantee you get Sid Kramer, that the deck's always going to be a bit limited. The second you get a
Yeah.
way to search Sid Kramer, it's like top tier because there's so many different routes you can go. But yeah, no, it's cool. It's weird, isn't it, having all these FF8s that are really good in the same set as well.
It's only taken 6 years,
Yeah,
7 years.
Right, it'll balance out on
and
the
it's a
next
free
card.
CP that isn't really a WoW card as well. So that's a win. It doesn't work really in WoW, does it?
It's sad. It's sad that that's how we think of the game now.
I mean,
Well, I suppose
no,
that 10 cards in your rake zone, it probably, if you really liked him and you liked Wall, you could probably fit it in, can you?
you could, but as I said, there's like I think Wall's very flexible in the way that it can go. So yes, there's the air quotes optimal version, but I think you could do it in multiple ways. So if you had enough 3 CPs in Lightning, you probably could run it.
I've moved
But
on to Water, which is Gorilla. And I don't think this was intentional, but I think it is your turn, Rich. But if it's not, you can have it anyway, because I know you're going to have a lot to say on this. So this is Gorilla, 5
And-
CP, Job Knight forward, 9k, category 11. If a Job Knight forward other than Gorilla you control is dealt damage less than its power, the damage becomes 0 instead. When Gorilla enters the field, reveal the top 5 cards of your deck. Play up to 2 Job Knight with a total cost of 4 or less among them onto the field and return the other cards to the bottom of your deck in any order. Go on, Rich. It's finally time to shine for the Knights. This is your moment.
Yeah, I mean, it's a wholly unbiased S tier because I'm definitely not a Knight deck player and I'm definitely not a massive FF11 fan. So it's wholly unbiased. But I love it. I think it's such a good card. Just because of the flexibility that it's up to 2 Job Knight with a total cost of 4 or less, and there's no restrictions on colors either. So you can play 2/2 drops. You can play a 3 drop if you hit one. You can play a 4 drop if you hit one. It doesn't restrict you to run the deck in a particular kind of way. You can just run a Knight deck, and you're either going to hit 1 target, 2 targets, and you're going to be happy with what you hit. And the wording of it being that you could run off-color Knights that you could play. So you could, I don't know, play a Water Lightning deck and run some Fire Knights in there. I just think the flexibility of what you the targets that you reveal make it a very, very strong card. And then there's the intrinsic protection of whatever you're playing is then protected by her as well, with that kind of Minwu effect. So yeah, I love it.
So that's the wholly unbiased Knight fan
Yes.
view. Mitch and
okay,
myself, I
so
guess. Should we put the realist spin on it?
yeah, I'll let you go first.
Well, I went B. So
Okay.
I went on middle. I mean, it's a great card. Great card for Knights. Reads nicely. I'm just not sure where Knights are, and if this is this is the big kicker that's suddenly going to make Knights this top tier archetype decks. I don't think they're quite there. Personally, I don't even know which direction to go with Knights because I've always felt like that the Warp Ramza is the key to Knights being really good, in my opinion, and that doesn't quite. I don't know which way to go with that. I don't know where to
That
go with
plays
that
this for
really.
free though.
It does play this for free, which is that is a big turn, which is cool. But yeah, I still think it's B. I think Knight's probably not quite there, but I know it's a cool card, and I'm happy for the Knights fans. I know there's people that do like the Knights, and they're spread a lot of across different games, aren't they? There's all different Knight characters and stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's great for Knights fans. So it's cool, but yeah, I can't rate it too high because I think it's just middle ground. We'll see how it goes. Might be wrong. The Knights might go massive, but what do you think, Mitch? You're going to say
So
C and it's going to get feisty.
Yeah. That's where it turns into a 2-hour long podcast.
yeah, no. So first of all, I do like the Knights archetype, especially because of like some of it is Final Fantasy IX, which is the game that I like. You got like Steiner, but more importantly, you've got Beatrix, who can reduce this cost by 2.
Beatrix is a massive. Well, Beatrix, even if you hit, you could play this and hit Beatrix and then play the next thing.
Yeah.
So you could proper
Um.
spam, couldn't you?
Yeah. I said I think that's a real benefit to this, and especially with Beatrix work. I think it's Beatrix does boost every time. Let me just quickly
Yeah,
double check.
it's 2k when a Knight and it's the field.
Yeah, so that works really well with the Minwu effect because it's like, okay, well, I'm not going to be chunked down or anything like that. I am just going to be stronger and bulldoze my way through. And also, as you said, it worked with Ramza. It also works with Laswell in ice, which means like you play a knight, and then you could reveal, say, Laswell and Charlotte, Dolan Freeze 2, which is also a nice play. Knights can pretty much go in any way. Also, with the new Garland, you can, which I really like, you can play the Garland, get this back, play this. If you play 2 knights, you're dealing 15k to something, or like split. I think that's really good. And to be the opposite to Rich, if that's me talking it up, I don't think knights are going to be very good. So I think when they do become good, this card will be good. But at the moment, I don't think it has enough removal. I don't think it has enough. It has a lot of unique things like Ramza has, of like dealing your opponent a point of damage and all that sort of stuff. It really annoys me that this card says a total cost of 4. Why can't it just be play 2 knights of 4 or less, or something like that? This
maybe.
it makes no sense to
Be
me.
too strong. Be too strong if you were to hit 2 4-drop knights off the top
Well,
5.
knights need it. Knights need.
Could be a future-proof thing as well, I guess.
Like, but like, so you play this, and then you're like, okay, I've seen Gwaine. Gwaine has to go. Is it Gwaine? Is that the fire water one?
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
searchy one.
You have to play that down because that gets you 2 cards. But then, all like whatever else you wanted to play is pointless now because I don't know, that it really stifles the card, I think, and that's really annoyed me that they've done it. So out of spite, I've given it a B.
Wow.
Mm.
Wow, you negative Nellies.
I mean,
I
I
just
was
think-
talking
I
up
think-
for
I say,
for a while.
I do think it's good. I'm just not sure where knights are. I think there's too many different routes to go. It's not obvious.
Yeah,
And
I will be giving it a go. I hope it is good, and I hope I'm wrong. But
there's going to be a lot of wonky knight decks being created.
yeah,
And
I said knights can go anywhere. Like,
yeah,
what
I mean,
also
that could be a detriment for it, and everyone just writes it
Yeah.
off, and then it'll die because you go too wonky. But
The-
I
the
guess
one
we
thing
should
I
be
will
praising
say-
that because we've just moaned that FF8 was just generic hasty archetypes. So at least there's a bit more. I don't know, spice is the right word, but there's a bit more interesting routes you can go and bit of craft in. But
this actually doesn't say, and I thought it did, job knights. It doesn't say job knight forward. So you can play backups off of this, slap this down turn 1, and maybe get 2 backups out of it. If
I don't know how many knight pickups there are, though.
I think they're only
there's-
the Earth ones. If I'm
yeah,
not
there's
mistaken.
quite a few Earth.
Pelennor and Segrawades.
They're all 2 costs. Oh, I think the new one is 3 costs, isn't it, in this set?
Yeah, new one's 3 cost.
Yeah, so you could play a couple of backups. The problem I had with that is that I keep thinking that Earth Fire could be the nice way, just because I'm playing into that Ramza. But obviously, then that's not going to work because the Legend is in water. So
I mean,
already
Earth
we're going
has ways
wonky.
to pay for water.
Yeah, I know, but then we're already going down there's some wonky night decks that are going to be created. So
And also, you want Avelia, to be completely honest. Avelia is so good. Like,
backup Legend.
yeah, and
Yeah.
any of them really. But then the Agrius is good as well. Like, produce something like, and then draw a card. I mean, it's a bit outdated now, but if you're playing that with Garland, you're reducing by
forgot
7k
Agrius
and
was a
pinging
knight.
for 5k.
Maybe
So
it's
somebody
better than
starts
popular.
killing stuff.
I think it will be a popular card for sure.
Oh yeah, it'll definitely be
Yeah.
popular, and it'll definitely, like, everyone seems to enjoy knights. So if it can work, someone will work it out.
Maybe it'll be Rich. He'll definitely try.
I wouldn't.
We'll move on.
I
We'll
wouldn't.
move on quickly.
I wouldn't bet the house on that.
All right, we're into light legends. So Citra. So when you cast a summon, choose 1 forward opponent controls, it loses 2,000 power until the end of the turn. When Citra enters the field, choose 5 cards in your break zone, remove them from the game. If all the cards removed by this effect are the same element, search for 1 summon of cost 3 or less and remove it from the game. Then cast it without paying the cost. She's a forward, 3 CP, FFBE, 7k. Mitch, I think it's your turn.
I think it's your turn. You haven't
Is it
done
my
one.
turn? Oh, bollocks. Because I don't really know what to say about this one. Where am I at?
There's
One,
not a lot
two,
to
three.
say.
I've taken all my A's are all gone. 1, 2, 2 B's. I think I'll go C then. I don't know. I think C probably. You can all tell me how wrong I am, but yeah, I don't know. It's so specific, isn't it? Maybe this is like a mono water card, probably. But then there's other things that do this better. Also, the enter the field, search for a summon, a cost 3. I can't think at this point in time which one that would be that you'd want to get every time. So I don't know. So at the moment, this doesn't really excite me at all. Just because I think if you're doing the summon side, there's other things that are doing better. I mean, you can combo this up with some of the summon cards, like with that losing 2k power. But again, there's like that Lulu that does that probably better where it reduces it to 5k. So yeah, I'm not sure on this one. So I went C. Has anyone gone higher that's seen the light of where this goes? No,
I
you're
went
all
I went
C.
B.
They went B.
I think I did go B for this. I don't like the card and I would never play it. They say there's a lot of restriction about what you would do with it, but there was a particular scenario where I thought that this could be useful was in those mono win decks that run a lot. But basically, a summon. Sorry, a summon should be something that you have flexibility as to when you can use it. So on your turn or your opponent's turn, this is then restricting the cast to either main phase 1 or main phase 2 because it's only when Citra enters the field. So the only thing I was really thinking of is like the summons that can search backup. So in like a win deck that runs a lot of Moogles and a lot of Chocobos would be to basically play Chocomog and then play Citra to recast the Chocomog and get like kind of ramp your backups that way. That was the closest thing I got to her being like super useful. It's
Yeah, that'd
enough
be pretty
for me to
useful.
put her in the B tier.
Mitch, have you cracked this one?
So for me, when you cast a summon, that top line, I think it screams fire. I think there's a lot of older summons that are outdated now. Maybe and some like cards like a bit like Terror. Like if you're playing in fire, you get Terror back. You can play this. I'm pretty sure Terror says just when you cast a summon. So you could do say, is it Salamander, the one that does 5k AOE?
Yeah.
I think so. And then obviously you've got Terror to ping. You've got this to ping. You deal 7k to 2 forwards. You've done 5k to the rest. It's that sort of stuff. Like that's okay. This card is trash. Like I think if I pull this, I'm going to be disappointed. Even if like it's just going to stay in a binder.
There's always
Like,
one you pull loads of, isn't there? Particularly you,
yeah,
Mitch. You tend to get like
yeah,
6.
yeah.
This
I'll
is the
get
one.
6 of this, and then I won't even be
I
able to
take it
give them away.
you gone C then.
Yeah, this is like if Rich was mentioned earlier. If I could give a D tier to a card, this would be it. Like this is I don't even understand why this is a legend. And also, not to mention like a lot of cards. This set want cards in your break zone, so this seems to be going like it seems to be anti-synergy with the rest of the set. Like there's a lot of this removes from your break zone, so you don't want to play it in lightning or anything like that. All the 3-drop summons that they've brought out this set, you get benefits from casting it with backups. So why am I casting this for free? So then I don't get the draw out of it. If it worked with that, I could see what they were going for, but it actually just makes no sense to me, this card.
Yeah, sometimes with these ones, then I start to question myself because I'm like, well, this is a legend for a reason, but I don't see the reason. So I must be really wrong. But yeah, I can't see it. Maybe someone does.
And if it's like if that summon is so important to your game plan, you are removing it from the game when you cast it.
Yeah, I just can't think of what.
It seems to just work against itself.
Yeah, I can't think
the
of
whole
what
time.
what one you would want to get that instant yes, I can search and cast it straight away. If it was like remove it from the game and then cast it when you want it, that would be like absolutely crazy, wouldn't it? But
Yeah.
yeah, no, I can't see it. Neither can anyone else. That's good. It's not just me then. Good. I was worried about leading this one. We'll move on then. Reagan, Dark Legend, 60p. I think we're back to Rich then, are we? When a forward other than Reagan enters your field, choose one forward opponent controls, dull it. When Reagan enters the field, choose 4 cards in your break zone, remove them from the game. If there are 4 or more different elements among cards removed by this effect, search for one forward of cost 4 or less other than multi-element and play it onto the field. I think we're on.
Am I
I don't know who
wrong
we're
for?
on.
Am I wrong for putting this in the C tier?
Well, that's what I was just thinking to myself. But no, I don't think you are.
Like, I mean, the first ability is not bad, not bad, but it's utterly pointless unless you resolve the second one because you're just not going to play this card. I think the fact is my main issue with it is restriction. So having to have 4 different element cards in your break zone in the first place is going to be problematic for 90% of deck.
Unless you go multi-element, but then he blocks that off anyway for his next ability.
Well, no,
So you can't
yeah,
go
the
too
next
crazy.
ability, yeah, but I don't know. I don't think there's many particularly consistent 4-color decks out there when you consider that your dark slot is already taken up by a Reagan. So it's going to have to basically be 5 elements near enough. I don't know. I didn't like it. The second effect is just wrong, but you then end up tailoring the whole deck to trying to resolve a Reagan, and I'm just not about that. So I put it in the C tier.
Yeah, I put it in C tier as well. Did you go there C tier mix?
Right, so I will clarify something now.
Ooh, okay. Yeah.
You can remove Wool from the break zone, the 4-color one, and 3 other cards that doesn't matter what they are, and that will still trigger the 4 different elements. So you can be a mono deck with that Wool, and you will get this effect.
Yeah.
Ban what? Just ban Warrior of Light already. Ban
Right.
ban both
Yeah,
of them. Fuck
I
it.
mean, yeah,
But
I didn't
what I
miss
will
that. I
say,
just wasn't sure if it's even worth. Like Rich said, is it worth
yeah.
it?
So one color that does tend to do that quite a bit is fire. Because they've got the what's that FF15 6-drop that gets a 4-drop from the break zone. Is it Idolus?
Yeah.
So that can bring back that brings back Wall. So sometimes they'll run that in mono fire, and you can use this and then search a 4-drop or something that's key to your strategy. I still don't think it's a good card. I think
Is this a good
paint.
soiree card? Because they're always
It,
just
A
about there,
good
aren't they?
shout.
Because they don't really have a dedicated slot for the light or dark. Plus, you'd have a lot of 4-drops because they had the Kirin and they
yeah,
have the Wall. Plus, all the cards is break are going to be different colours.
It's a good
yeah.
shout,
That's
and
not
then
bad, actually,
their
is it?
soirees will dull on entry as well, which is an extra
You could
fun thing to have to
search
cope
and
with.
play Madame Soiree. So you'd have Reagan, Madame, is it Madame Adele? Or
Yeah.
Madame Adele. She plays another one. It's quite a big swing in a turn, isn't it?
Yeah, as I said,
I don't know where Suarez are at. I mean, they're always there or thereabouts, aren't they? Just because of the consistency.
and it runs Wall as well.
That's I mean, they run the wall, and then they've got the other colours anyway, and all the
Yeah.
stuff you want to search is cost 4 or less.
At the moment,
It's-
they run Darkness Manifest because of similar reasons that it can come down cheap and it starts dealing damage. This spams the board better, but doesn't offer anything other than that. Whereas Darkness Manifest
Yeah, obviously
break
ongoing.
stuff. Yeah, so that's what it will compete with. Essentially, is Darkness Manifest, and is this better than Darkness Manifest? And I don't think it is, because Darkness Manifest either deals your opponent point of damage or breaks things for cheaper.
Yeah. And once
So,
this is on, it's like there's no threat anymore. It's just another forward to remove.
well, it's still dull stuff.
Oh, when a forward
yeah.
other than Reagan enters your field, choose
Yeah.
one forward opponent. Okay. So yeah, so that's quite good. Okay, that's yeah. I thought he told someone. I was like, oh, okay, whatever. Yeah, no, that's fair enough. So if you're
But
swinging
it's
out a
still
few
C
forwards,
tier for me.
yeah, I think it's easy. It feels like an old school card. This one, like an older
Yeah.
set. Where it would
I
be
think if
probably
it came out a few sets ago, it would be
Mad.
really strong.
yeah, definitely. All right, let's move on then, because we need the juicy ones. Well, we are at the juicy ones. All right, so we enter limit break. Limit break world. I'm not going to go into going through what limit break does. I think everyone's clear on what limit break does. All I will say is it is very strange that no, I'll talk about it later. I'll moan about limit break in a bit. We'll look at the cards first. So this is a fire legend. He's a limit break. Mont Leonis, 8 CP, FFB, job Archlord. Limit break of cost of 3 as well. So when he enters the field, choose one fire forward of cost 3 or less in your break zone, and one fire forward of cost 5 or less in your break zone. If you control 5 or more fire backups, play them onto the field. They gain haste until the end of the turn, then put one backup you control into the break zone. Is it me? I think it is me,
I
isn't
think
it?
it is you.
So I think this
Yeah.
was one I put on the S tier, my second S tier, just because I think this is banger. And it's limit break. And I've not been a particular fan of the limit break. I'll put that out there now. I don't think, not too happy in how it's been launched. I think it might be okay later on down the line, but for the big launch, I was expecting something different in how how it was going to work, and the stuff we've seen. I've not really. Yeah, it's not fit how I anticipated it was going to work. So I'm being, and then also I'm a bit miffed about how some elements get a legend, some don't, and a lot of them are a bit underwhelming. But this one is very good. I do like Mono Fire. I've always been trying to make that Zande work, the 8-drop Zande. And this is just like a very better one. The fact it's in the limit break deck means you've got the constant access to it, so it's ready to go when you hit those 5 backups. And yeah, it's going to be monstrous when it comes in, playing all that stuff. So I think it's cool. They get haste as well. It's like considering when we look at some of the other limit breaks, there's a lot going on in this, and it feels like this is a proper limit break. When you think about what limit break should be, this is a proper one. Does anyone want to follow it up and tell me I'm wrong, or
I don't like it.
you don't like it?
I don't like it. I put it in the B tier. I've maybe been like a little bit conservative with how I've rated all 3 of the limit break legends, but I just don't like the condition that you need 5 fire backups to resolve the effect. And I don't particularly like the fact that it's an 8 CP card as well, because it forces you to discard 2 cards when you play it. I don't know. Like, yes, what you're saying about having constant access to it. Yes, it's not taking up space in your main deck. It's not taking up your 50, a part of your 50 slots. But I just when am I going to use this? When am I on 5 backups nowadays? Do you know what I mean? Like, fire isn't very good as a mono element of really searching its own backups. It's got that Agito cadet searcher, right?
I
Like the
mean,
Titan.
it's
I mean, if
got
you want to
quite a
go
lot.
that, it's got a couple of things, but yeah, they're not. If you want to go like
It's got like
Dominion,
Yeah, Dominion Legionary
Legion,
and
Agita,
Cyan searches all the
Cyan as well.
samurais.
oh,
Yeah,
cyan. Yeah, okay. I don't know. I don't know. You won't be able to assess limit break cards until you properly sat and play through that mechanic. But for me, I just kind of shrugged my shoulders at that, and I was like, yeah, it's a strong effect, but that you need 5 backups for it.
I just rated it high because I think it feels like a limit break because it's like the idea that you know, particularly in the way the game's played, you would like be like chonking away, get to your 5 backups, and you're probably at the limit. You've probably taken a lot of damage and stuff, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, bang, here we go, and then like, you'd have this big swing turnaround. Mitch, where did you go with this one?
Okay, so with this card, I do like it. I think it is strong. I think you can get to the 5 backups, especially in like samurais. You've got all the searching got Dominion Legionary, and you've got the Miyu that searches Kala and Mitsuki and all that sort of stuff. They're like, so they're always searching in fire, and I think that's good. What I'm more interested in is the 3-drop and the 5-drops that you get. So fire theorem, like most famous like mono color archetype is Samurais, which gets you the Cyan, which again will search you a card. And then the 5-drop forward, I had a quick look about what's useful. Like there's Zack and like the Legend, and then there's like Edgar if you wanted to go mono fire. But the one that's probably the most interesting is Tyvas. You can search Tyvas off of you play Tyvas, then you get in a free warrior, which again you play another free card off of it. So you play this down, and you can spam almost like 3-4 forwards down quite easily. Especially with Cyan, you're giving them haste, so that means that if you have gone Samurai route, you're getting the ball clear. I think this card is, as Tom said, it sort of feels like a real boss monster that is always available to you. I think that's really like strong and underrated. As a, like the limit break thing, it's weird. Like some cards seem reactive and some seem proactive. Like all the lightning ones seem like, oh, my opponent is doing this, I need to react with this card. But this one feels like, okay, well, my big boss monster is Montlinus in my limit break thing. It's always there when I need it once I'm set up. It doesn't affect the rest of your deck. And yes, we don't know how limit break is going to go, if it's going to be any good, but I do think that this is going to make Monofire come back. Even if limit breaks aren't that good, this will be.
Yeah, definitely. And also, if you're playing against mono fire, this is there. This is in their limit break. You can't really interact with their limit break, I don't think, can you?
No.
At the moment. So it's there, and the second they get to 5 backups, you're going to be panicking because it's coming.
Yeah.
So I think
I did put. I mentioned. I think it was on Cypher that was unsure if that was an S or this was an S. So I made this an A, but it's an A/S. It's the close.
Cool. Right, let's move on then. Maybe like the yin and yang of limit break. So this is Ace, the wind legend. So limit break 3, 8 cost, which is like a common theme. You need to spend 8 CP to get involved in limit break, it seems. When Ace enters the field, deal 1,000 damage for each wind character you control to all the forwards opponent controls. When Ace attacks, reveal the top card of your deck. If it is a wind card, add it to your hand. He's only 8k. It must be.
I think it's my turn.
Your turn. Go on then. Well, you take it because I know how much you want to rip into this.
Okay. It's
awful, isn't it?
It's not great, no. But it's how I'm trying to justify it is that it's a get out of jail free card. In that my opponent has just misdragoned my break zone. All my Lusos were in there. I fucked up massively. Sorry, I've drawn 2 for turn. I'll play Ace, still 8k to the board or whatever it is. Like, because you're gonna have Evray, you're gonna have Atomos down, and then you play this down, so it's gonna do 8k minimum. And you deal 8k to the board. You kill most of their forwards. That buys me time. That's it. But the problem is, people are better than that. Like you play against a wind deck. If they've not got Luso in, if I've misdragoned and removed both their Lusos, then that's on them. They should have lost anyway. That's their own fault. So this seems like a get out of jail free card that it doesn't need to be there. So I don't know. It will go in win decks just because, but I don't know. I'm just not sold on it. I don't think you'll ever play it.
You have to put it in win decks, right? Because there's no other limit break I'm pretty sure the limit break deck is pretty much all of them. I
Yeah, I
suppose you can
mean,
have 3 of each, can't you? But
Wind got absolute shafted when it comes to limit breaks. All of their cards are dog
the limit
water.
break is awful for this. I just thought this
So
was.
yeah,
I just thought this was. I mean, how many win characters would you realistically have when you want to play this to make it
oh,
worth?
Potentially a lot.
yeah.
Yeah, but
As I said, I think
if you've got that many, do you really need this? Because Win's already doing
Luso.
Deluso, which is infinitely better, and the whole it didn't really need it.
No,
Whereas
but
if
just
you flip it, when you look at the
imagine.
fire, the fire one works because fire that's a pure mono fire card. It really works what it needs. It fills gaps. It's thing. This just doesn't. It just feels like I don't know. Just feels a bit like a tick boxy thing. Doesn't feel like a legend to me.
Same shit,
Yeah,
different name.
Yeah.
the A to B comparison with Montleonis is maybe a little bit unfair,
Well, it's a
but
legend limit break that costs the same.
it
This is the big.
is.
This is the
But you
big
got
limit break reveal. This is the first limit breaks we're seeing. The big reveal,
you've
and then
got
they
to think
serve
that
this turd up, and you're
but
like, oh,
you
what's
got
the
to think
point?
that you got to think that the two elements as mono decks are in completely different places. Is that mono wind had been a very strong competitive deck for quite a few number of sets now. And mono fire hasn't really, so that could do with a stronger limit break card. If you were to print Montleonis in wind, then everyone would probably be losing their freaking
Oh yeah, that would
mind.
be horrendous. Yeah, that would be
Yeah.
horrendous.
Exactly. So that's what I mean, is that an A to B comparison isn't fair. Yes, they're both 8 costs limit break cards, but they couldn't really they couldn't really do much more than this without absolutely making wind busted. So they've had to kind of give it something
Yeah.
that's a little bit lowered down. And to be honest,
You
it's
put
not a
it
bad
C though,
Geolite
didn't you?
card.
You put it C.
I did put it C, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
I'll
think
do a
we all
little.
put it C.
we all put it C.
I'll do
Yeah.
a little bit. Just so it's not an echo chamber. I'm just offering an alternative opinion. Is that it's not a bad Geolite card to just have, you know, in your pocket, and wind. You typically have because it's characters, so you could have 5 backups, 3 monsters out, and he comes in and does 8k to a pretty populated board. And I'm pretty sure that's an okay kind of situation to be in. And then if he ever gets to attack, he starts, earning his keep and not just being a leech on your resources. So,
Yeah. I think
he's
it's
firmly a
worse.
C. He's firmly a C, but
It's worse for me just because there's not very many limit breaks, considering it's the launch and it's the big thing, the big new thing. There's not that many of them, and then most of them are like solely like mono limited. So if you don't play a mono deck, your limit break options are not particularly great unless you're in probably lightning, which we'll get to.
honestly, I don't think that's ever going to change, because the possibility of having dual element cards with limit break
No,
backup,
they don't have to be
not
dual
not not
element,
back
but
not
like
backup as in backups, but no, I'm just saying, like, they've all been designed with mono in mind, because if you can imagine, like, dual element cards are inherently stronger because of the limitations in casting, so they tend to be above curve in terms of
yeah,
power, and they tend to have really strong effects. Then when you start chucking in limit break cards that don't have limitation on cost, it could get wild out of control.
yeah, which is one of the reasons why I've not been that enamored with the limit break, because it's just like become a playable sideboard almost, isn't it? You've got these cards out here access to, you can play them whenever you want. There's no restriction on when you can really play them, other than the fact that you're limited to how many times you can play them because of the limit break aspect. Whereas I was thinking it was going to be more of like a, we've seen the games now where, the Rufus Rug, you're nearly dead in like 3 turns, or you're dead in 3 turns while you're staring down the barrel after turn 1. And then the idea that you'd have limit break to pull you out of the brink and almost like reset the game or flip the tide, like how it's utilized in the games. That's how I was thinking it was more going to go. Whereas it's become more of a like on access toolbox, and then because of that, they've had to design it very differently, and it's just gone down a bit of a route that I'm just a bit like meh. Just maybe it'll change when I try it out, but
I think that's fair. I think, like, the flavor that you're describing would be a lot more fulfilling if it was based off of the damage that you'd received, but then that's just the damage mechanic then. When you're on
Yeah,
damage 5, you
exactly.
get stronger
It's
effect.
very difficult to. So yeah, I don't know how they were going to do it, or yeah, I don't know. I don't know, but obviously I was thinking different ways of doing it, but it's difficult. I know Mitch, you're a bit more into the limit break, but
Oh
again,
yeah,
you really into lightning. Generally, it's like your favorite element, isn't it?
yeah.
Pretty much. And lightning, which we're going to get to, has done well. Let's move on to lightning whilst we're in. Oh no, it's wind.
Oh, there
It's
is no
water
lightning
next.
legend.
Oh, it's not lightning edge, is it? They're
No,
heroes.
they're just so good that they seem like legends.
Oh, that makes me feel better because I'd run out of slots for all of all of the stuff. I was like, oh, I can't give Cloud a B because he's really good, and Shantotto and stuff. I don't really like that Shantotto for the same
No.
reasons that I don't like the Ace, which is a bit contradicting because I do like the Mont Leonis, but I think that's because Fire needed it. But yeah, well, let's talk about the legends then. Tidus, he's the water one, so he is 5 CP, limit break 3. When Tidus enters the field, enter. Oh, what's that? I'm losing the plot here. When Tidus enters the field, if you control 8 or more forwards and/or backups, you may pay 3 water. When you do so, select up to 3 of the 3 following actions. Choose one forward, put it at the bottom of the owner's deck. Choose one backup, put it on top of the owner's deck. Draw 2 cards. Rich, I think it's you.
I went B for this. But again, like you said before, 8 or more forward and or backup. So it doesn't work the same way as the wind one does, where you can involve monsters as well. And the extra cost that you pay is 3 water CP, so it's pushing more towards mono water. But I do think the 3 effects together are strong. Making sure that they draw at least 1 backup next turn, which if you're trying to close the game out, if they might draw 2 backups, that might be the thing that clinches it for you. Putting the forward to the bottom of the deck is just a bonkers effect, and I love it. And then drawing 2 cards to kind of offset the cost that you've just invested is good. And again, it's one of those things that having access to it at no expense of your 50 card slot, your 50 card deck slots, is good. But I'm hesitant to give it anything above a B.
Yeah, I think I was on B. Mitch, did you go higher than B?
No, I went B as well. But so I'll start with what I like. Is everyone is saying that this is a mono water card? I genuinely don't think it is. I think this could probably go in wind water, and it'll be really good. You pay 5, and like you can use the wind reactivation to help you pay for the 3 extra. Also, Final Fantasy X tends to be wind water anyway, so it sort of works out really well. I think all the effects are really strong, and it will really change like the game playing this down, which is what a big boss big boss forward should do. So I do like the card. I think it is really good. What I don't like is that it costs 5. As stupid as it sounds, I would rather it cost 4, and then you have to pay for water or something like that, because the way this works, if you pay 5 backups, you're ditching 2 anyway, so you're paying 9. Or there is they brought out a unit that reduces the cost of Tidus to like 1 less, and they've sort of made that the justification of why it's costed it like this. But I genuinely think the way it's costed is ridiculous. It's made it essentially more expensive than the others, and for no reason. And that's why I've put it as a B. I think if it costs 4 and then 4 water, or even if it just cost 8, I would actually put this up there with Mont Leonis. But because of that, the way it's costed, it's like really like thrown me for a loop and makes it a lot less appealing to play.
Yeah, no, I went B as well. I think that was all I had left. But there's one more card, isn't there?
No,
Yeah,
I
no, I
don't
think
think
that's fair.
No,
I've got
that's
much more to
yeah.
say on it, really. 3 strong effects, limited by the cost. I still think the biggest thing for me is that you control 8 or more forwards and or backups. 'cause
see,
that
that's
that
fine
feels
for me because
problematic. That feels problematic more to me, and it puts
why?
me right off because I just don't like cards that need that.
Uh,
Particularly, again, when you talk about the limit break side of it, the limit break shouldn't be because you control 8 or more forwards, you can now play a limit break. It should be like if your opponent controls 8 or more forwards and backups, you can play Tidus. That would be more of what I would expect from a limit break, but that's by the by.
I mean, the one thing I do like about it is the way that it's worded is if you have like say your 5 backups and then 2 forwards, this will be the 8th. If they break it in response, you still get the effect, which is nice.
Yeah, that's
Because
cool.
it
That's
only
nice. Yeah, because
it
yeah,
only
that's good.
it triggers when you've got the 8. It doesn't matter afterwards. So that's as I said, it's I do think it could include monsters, but then maybe they were thinking, oh, actually, that can just slide in. Maybe it would be too easy for wind water. But then also, there's a lot of monsters now that become forwards. Like if you're on 3
That's true.
damage, you just play Tross and Atomos. Okay, well I'll activate them. I'm now Tidus is online. So as I said, I really do like it, but as I said, it's literally the only problem is the way that it's costed. So
Oh,
as I
we're
said,
done.
that's what puts me.
The last one's the legacies. Thought there's one more.
Yeah.
At Chocobo. No, I think we're done then. Wow. Feels like we
Do we
did that
have
quite
any?
quickly this time.
Do we have any honourable mentions for cards that aren't legends?
I think there's some. I mean, we can look at the other limit breaks because they, limit breaks. The other limit breaks are probably the most interesting ones. I won't bring them up, but like as we've been talking, Lightning has done very well for limit break. I think both the Lightning ones are really good. The Cloud is really, really good.
Yeah.
The Lightning as well. I think people were, well, particularly in like our group, were a bit less. Oh, it's all right, but I think Lightning is really, really strong. As well, and to have them both in your limit break is really, really powerful. So I think Lightning's done really well out of limit break. Wind has done terribly out of limit break. I think that is it. The Yuri, is it Yuri
Yuri.
or
Yeah.
Chilinko?
The
Yeah, it's
Yuri
Yuri. The
is
Yuri is just garbage.
garbage.
It's like, oh, it's awful. It's almost like you don't want to, even if you're playing mono wind, you don't want to put it in your limit break. It's terrible. So wind has done terribly for that, which is rare because they don't normally get. It's normally that way. What's the other? Earth gets the Shantotto, which is probably more of a legend than the Nuct is, in my opinion. Although it's so heavily costed again towards mono Earth.
Yeah.
If
Also,
you're
it
if you're playing Earth
removes
with something else, you're
monsters.
a bit screwed for limit break. But
It removes monsters, which is a big negative for Earth. I actually think it's worse than the backup Cantotto. Like I wouldn't run it because Mono Earth traditionally, well at the moment, is like monster heavy. If I'm playing Shantotto, I'm clearing my own board. You want to play Shantotto, clear their board, and still have all your monsters. So it seems really like. So some of the cards that they brought out this set seem to really go against how the decks are built at the moment. But I suppose they don't know that like when they make it 3 sets in advance.
yeah, both. I do think the Shantotto is good. I just think the way it's costed as well.
Yeah.
Just because it's quite a lot of. Is it 4 CP and then you have to pay 5 Earth or something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's I mean it's super wonky, and if you like to play Earth with other colors like Earth Wind or Earth Ice stuff, you're really screwed because you don't really have a good limit break option. Because I don't think
Yeah.
you can really play the Shantotto. It takes up your whole limit break as well. So you only get one go. And then the Ice, I think the Ice were really bad if I remember. They didn't really.
Victoria is not bad.
Yeah, Victoria's not bad, and I actually, where is it? We don't have a thing limit break on the official browser.
It's Surges, so it's a 3-drop 7k Lancer forward. When he enters the field, choose one of the 2 following actions. Choose one forward, dull it. Choose one forward, freeze it. So
See,
See if I
I
can
think
find them.
that's good.
They're all
Only
hero, aren't
because
they?
no, Surges is rare,
Yeah, okay.
but Victoria is nice, as in like it just comes in, kills a Rufus, fantastic. But surges, I think that's good as well. Like every ice player and anyone who's ever played ice has always come across the thing. Oh, if I just draw a dull now, I've won the game. This takes that away. That is literally okay. Well, I know I'm going to draw a dull because it's in my limit break deck. So, or like okay, Rufus's
He's a nice
swung.
cheapy one as well, just the limit break one, so you can have it a couple of times maybe.
Yeah, or like Rufus's swung is now dull. I need to keep my hand up, or like Walls just pinged 5k for something. Okay, I'm just going to freeze that for a turn, just to keep myself like alive, sort of thing. I think it's got a lot of potential. I said there's a lot of limit break cards. How like when the time arises, they'll be really good. I think.
I've just pulled the Mart or Matt, however you want to say it.
Yeah.
It's not.
I will say now though, I genuinely think that Leo is a mistake. I think that card is probably the best limit break
Let's have a look
there
at
is.
Leo. When Leo enters the field, draw a card.
The amount of times like you play three backups, and then you like, okay, I could play something, but I don't know what my opponent's got. I don't want to go down and then set them off. Okay, I'll just play Leo and draw a card. Like it costs nothing to do that because you're paying 3, you're drawing 1. So you've only basically paid 1 CP just to test the waters. If they don't deal with it, then there's a point of damage for them. I think this card is stupid, and also it can just go in any element really, because anything that can just tap for water.
Yeah, that's cool. That's fair enough. Doesn't take up too much of your
No.
limit break. The one.
Yeah, exactly. I said you can play all 3 of them.
I didn't even notice this dark one. I haven't got that far in my set review.
It's
much better if you just
little
ignore it.
Yeah, you might want to not notice it.
Wow, 5 CP. Jeez. Okay, fair enough.
I do like that it appears that they've exercised caution with rolling out the limit break mechanic, that they haven't just gone YOLO and made it like this power creep problem.
Thing, yeah.
It's like
you could easily have broken the game.
These all seem
at
like
the
very
same time, it's like
conservative
we're at a point where we could have had something crazy come in.
The only, I mean, Montlinus is pretty crazy. But
yes, that is
like,
pretty crazy. Yeah,
you got the boss ones with like Tidus and Montlinus, but the only thing I'm worried about now is typically what they tend to do is they'll do, okay, here's this new mechanic we're introducing. We're going to support it for 3 sets and then fuck it off.
that's true. Yeah, a bit like crystals.
And I really don't want them to do that. I think this is something unique. This has changed the game, like big time. Crystals did nothing. Multi-elements, yes, they changed the game, but it was the same thing. It was
just an excuse to make stuff stronger, wasn't it?
Yeah. This is the biggest change they've done since they added monsters in like Opus 4, I think it was. Like there was a whole brand new thing. Like monsters didn't exist back in Opus 1 to 3, so this is a whole new thing, and I hope that they keep printing more. There's so many things you can do with it. Like if you paid like a 4 CP backup, like a light 4 CP backup, then you does nothing, but you're then guaranteed a backup turn 1 if you brick. I think that would be a real interesting thing to have in your limit break idea. There's so many things you can do with it. That's why I'm excited for it. I know, Tom, you said you're not, but
I mean, I need to. I'm not excited for it. I just need to say it plays. I was a bit disappointed in how it has manifested and what it's doing, just because I thought the mechanic would be different. But I think once I get playing it, I might change my mind and start to enjoy it. But
the name doesn't feel very limit breaky. I will say
the flavor isn't limit breaky at all.
No, but other than that, I think the actual mechanic of it all is amazing.
Yeah, I think in time it will. Once we start trying it out, I'll probably change my mind. Just that my disappointment was more the initial reveal and also seeing what everyone's got. It's a little bit imbalanced about what certain things have got and stuff, which I think is a bit lame to do it that way. And I honestly thought there was going to be more I thought like lots of like the rares and stuff, it was going to be full of loads of limit break cards, but really, there's not much. Everyone's got pretty much the same limit break deck at the moment because you have to fill it up with limit break cards.
Yeah.
And if you can tap for different colors, you're winning because you can get Cloud and Leo, for example.
Yeah.
Even if you're not playing lightning or water, if you can tap for any color, you've got access to them. You've got two really strong, really good stuff. And if you're playing something else, you're a bit screwed. Like if you're not mono fire, you basically got Zac, right, and it's not
Yeah.
good. It's not a good place. So then they're basically now running a deck where everyone else has got a limit break deck to support them, and you've got nothing. And that's
Yeah.
really wonky, particularly for like the competitive side. If you're trying to, you're gonna have to really think about that. Like even if you're playing like this FF8 deck, you're trying to be competitive with that. You've got to bear in mind that I suppose you've got the series is okay, but you're really limiting yourself on limit break compared to some of the other things where they can push it over the edge. Like Montleonis can push mono fire right up. The lightning ones can push it really high. Anything else, particularly the dual element decks, you're a bit screwed because you're like almost limiting yourself by doing that. Limiting break, that's what it should be called.
I mean, yeah, I do agree. I think there's definitely some elements got the better end of the stick than others, but I also think maybe that was a design like point that they wanted to have. Like Wind, typically, at least 3 sets ago when they were designing these cards, had the strongest deck. It always won the late game. So at the time, I would say that they give it the weakest cards because the actual deck is stronger. Similar to Earth, and Lightning, Fire, that struggled. Water, they knew they were going to ban stuff, so maybe they gave that a little bit more like strength as well. I think they tried to use this as a balance to make the weaker decks stronger, but obviously it comes 3 sets like later on, so the meta changes and develops and aggression happens. So I think Wind could have done something maybe to help. It could have done with maybe a Victoria or something like that to help it out with the early aggression, but instead it got Yuri. So yeah.
Less said about Yuri, the better. Unless I'm
It
really
is.
wrong on it. To me, I just wow.
When I said honorable mentions, I was skewing positive and trying to get you guys to say about
Okay.
cards
So
you're excited
Well, we
about.
were
You
looking
should
through
use
what
this
honorable mentions,
opportunity
but
to
yeah,
shit on
we thought
Yuri.
maybe look at the rest of Limit Break because it's
Tom
easy
likes
to think that
Minwu.
Minwu. I
Yeah, the
don't know.
new
I can't remember.
FFBE Fire one.
The FFBE is a whole side story, and Rich, you'll feel this as well
I've already
about
had my
how
little minor run so rage today. So.
yeah the FFBE side, with Celestia and not getting any support. Which one's Minwu? Oh,
The 3-drop
Minwu.
to pay.
Yes, this is cracked. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a big card. That is a big card. That is a big card. Yeah, that is cracked. Yeah, I thought you were trolling me, Mitch.
No, I was
No, this
being
one's banging.
genuinely serious.
Yeah, this is crazy. We've got this. I said plug it. We've got this. We'll do our written set review. So I've been going through them. I'm very behind, but yeah, I was going through that, and there's cards I hadn't seen. I was like, "What message, Mitch? What the hell is this Minwu?" And he's like, "Hang on, I'll just get to it." And then yeah, that's busted.
Yeah, that is
Yeah,
pretty
there's
good.
quite a lot of good fire cards actually. I think fire's in a good place.
I think there's a lot of interesting cards, like Volker, for example. I think that's crazy. Like, remove it from the game during this turn. Your opponent may only declare an attack once, so you block it and then remove Volker, and it just stalls out aggro. I think that's really good. I think Water did very well here. Like Siren seems good. I mean, I'm always a bit hesitant when it comes to how good defensive cards are. But when you can mill a card, and if it's not a forward, then you cancel the effect. So your opponent is constantly guessing on if they're going to be blocking, ignoring something. Which also works with the FF8 mill stuff, which I really, really appeals to me. Because if it's a forward, it could be Rajin or Fujin, and then you summon another forward from this effect. And so,
Oh, sorry,
go on.
go on.
No,
I was just gonna say, we were just talking about water cards, and I've just remembered why I put Citra as a B tier is that she can search the new anima summon.
Oh, that's
I was like,
maybe that's the one you're looking for.
if your opponent slaps something down early and you're like, oh shit, how do I deal with this? Like you just search the instant answer.
Yeah, but then at the same time, you
That
want to
or
play it off the
Atmos.
backups to get your draw.
You do, but
I was
as a
about to say my honourable mentions are the fact we finally got Anima, and we can also have Eden as well. Whether he's very good or not, I'm not sure, but yeah,
that was why
Eden is pretty good actually. But we finally got those ones.
And Chocomog and Anima were like the two Citra targets that I was thinking of.
I think there's been a few cards that we've all been big fans of. Guido, people are
I
big
love
fan
Guido. I don't know why.
Yeah.
I just
I don't actually think it's a bad card. I think it's pretty good.
it's not a bad card. There's just something about it. It's very endearing.
I know you're a big fan, Tom, of Medusa, but I'm not, so I'm not gonna.
I think Medusa is very interesting. Yeah, quite a lot. Like I said, there's quite a lot. We could talk for hours on this. We already have talked for hours. This is my way of wrapping it up. But yeah, and if there's piqued your interest, we will have the written review coming out. I'd say sooner than later, but I'm way behind. I think Mitch, you're nearly done.
Yeah,
so
I
need to pull my finger out, and then that'll be done. And then you can see what we think of him. But yeah, that wraps us up for today. Back on track. We're going to try and actually get a bit more consistent program with the podcast going now. For this year, I think none of us really played very much last year. We're more keen to get more involved this year. So hopefully you'll see some more stuff from us. But yeah, thanks for joining us if you made it this far. And enjoy Opus 22. And see you later.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.